All right, Miles, let's talk Detroit Lions here for a little bit. The Lions, this has become a team that knows how to win the offseason. We saw it last year. They crushed it for agency and the draft. Already this offseason, they made a lot of good moves, mainly involved with keeping key points of their coaching staff together. A lot of good indications for the future. And now that we're into the NFL scouting combine, the NFL Lions had some more interesting news at a key position that came out this week.
Yeah, Nick, and when you look at this Lions roster all over, there's guys that are emerging as like the lifeblood of this current team. You look at Aiden Hutchinson, a young up and coming guy who seems like a real leader on this team. You see like guys like Frank Ragnow, who's been like a real key player on this team, makes a big name for himself. But throughout history, the Lions have had tons and tons of guys who I'd say are the quintessential Lions. They embody the Lions culture and personality. And I want to know in the comments below from the Lions fans, who is that guy to you? Who do you think is the player throughout Lions history that really embodies the Lions spirit and culture? Let us know in the comments below. But Nick, what do you got on the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, Miles, it's interesting that you bring up quintessential because a lot of teams, when they think of their quintessential player, their team leader, they look at the quarterback position. And obviously, as we're deep into the draft cycle, and every single team is heading through the combine, preparing for the draft, preparing for free agency, every team kind of gets asked to evaluate the quarterback position and where it stands. And so this is according to SBNation.com had a report about GM Brad Holmes for the Detroit Lions having an interesting discussion at the scouting combine related to the quarterback position. This is from the report here. He said, even though the Lions have been pretty upfront in their support of Jared Goff, both the national perception of Goff and Detroit's high amount of draft capital will keep them in the quarterback conversation this draft cycle. And while Holmes didn't quite shut down the quarterback conversation in his talk with Peter Schrager, he again emphasized the team's faith in Goff. When asked if the Lions could take a quarterback with one of their first two picks, here's Holmes' response. Quote, "It just has to make sense. Obviously, we like Jared. He's our starter." Holmes quickly shifted the conversation to the Lions' backup position, which he clearly views as a priority this offseason. All right, Mike, so here's my thoughts on this. Let's take a step back. Let's move back to 2022, last offseason with the Lions did a great job. They're obviously involved in the Senior Bowl. You and I talked about it at the time. Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions entire organization could not stop talking about how much they love Malik Willis. Oh, he's built different. There's a lot of great players at the Senior Bowl, but he's one of the better ones. He's a great player. Dan Campbell would not stop talking about how much he loved Malik Willis. And I'm going to be honest, I fell for it a little bit. I'm like, look, Campbell's a straight shooter. So, Lions need a quarterback potentially of the future. Maybe he's interested in Malik Willis. Maybe it's a good fit. Maybe it's one of those things he's really after. Turns out not the case at all. They do a heck of a job. They draft to get Aiden Hutchinson, obviously trade up to get Jamison Williams, knock a few other picks out of the park as well. They really won the draft last offseason by kind of doing the opposite of what they said to the media. And that's why I think it's very interesting that Holmes has come out and said, listen, Goff is our guy. We're not going after a quarterback. In fact, if we're going after a quarterback, we're going to get a backup guy. We're not going to go out and get one of these starters, one of these top prospects, maybe a backup guy, a guy who can grow into Goff's backup. And to me, it sounds a little bit too much like the Lions could be angling for a potential quarterback of the future, not someone who will take Goff's position in 2023, maybe not even 2024, but potentially even beyond that. And where the Lions sit in the draft, they actually have a decent chance to get one of the more developmental guys like in the Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. I think it's kind of an interesting development that maybe take a step back and think about maybe the Lions do go quarterback here. Give your thoughts, Miles. What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm going to prepare myself for the management to come out and start saying things like, we looked at Anthony Richardson, didn't really like him that much.
Yeah.
Wasn't that impressive. Will Levis, he's got the physical tools, the arm talent, but he had a down year. I mean, I don't really think he's worthy of going number one. Maybe they even Bryce Young, he just sucks. We don't like him. He's not a good football player. They're going to downplay like every quarterback coming into the draft now because they want somebody to come to them at 6. And if one of those guys, if you're faced at that position and you see Levis or Richardson on the board, it's got to be really tempting to take a guy like that. These are guys, like you said, the developmental guys, have all the physical tools, can come in and truly sit behind Jared Goff. There is no rush to starting them. It's not like a Falcons, Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder situation where you have Mariota, who's truly just a stopgap. He was not a great quarterback fit for the Falcons, and it was really just a matter of time of when is Ridder going to come in. It's going to be like an Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love situation where they get Love. They think maybe he's potentially a player. He's going to sit behind Rodgers, and there's no rush for him to start. He still hasn't started. He may even move off. It's like, the many years of Tom Brady, Jimmy G, Brock Lobster. I can't remember his last name. Was Brock
Osweiler.
Osweiler? Yes,
Yeah,
Brock Osweiler. Many other top quarterback, Ryan Mallett, guys who sat behind Brady for many years. Like, oh, this could be the replacement. But they tutored under him, learned under him. There's going to be no need for these guys to start right away because Jared Goff is a good quarterback. He is doing very well in this Lions offense. But I agree with you. I think it's 100% smokescreen. I think the Lions are trying to, drop the value and maybe make people think, oh, there's definitely not looking at quarterback position, and there's no way they're going to go for it that early in the draft.
And I think the interesting thing is that the Detroit Lions, if we take a step back, they kind of remind me after the 2022 season wrapped up of what the Kansas City Chiefs were pre-Patrick Mahomes, right? When they had Alex Smith. Andy Reid comes in, the Chiefs are a debacle. They're a terrible franchise. I think they went 4-12. Just not a good football team at all. They were far removed from the playoffs. They were a disaster from the top down of the organization. The Lions, Holmes, Dan Campbell, build it back up. Great job. Culture, draft well. They bring in a veteran quarterback, former high draft pick. In the Chiefs, it was Alex Smith. The Lions, it was Jared Goff. And he does a good job, resurrects his career a little bit. People think he's a great guy, great quarterback, great leader, all those things. But what do the Chiefs do? When the physical phenom who has a chance to be special becomes available, they move up and get Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying Anthony Richardson or Will Levis or frankly any of the guys in this draft are Patrick Mahomes. But it's clear to me, Myers, as we've seen the past few years in the NFL, unless you've got a Mahomes or a Joe Burrow, unless you have one of those special elite top flight guys, it's really hard to win a Super Bowl. The Eagles literally had the best roster in football. Great offensive line, great defensive line, great receivers, good coach, good coordinators, great defense, great special teams, right? Across the board. And they still couldn't quite get it done, right? Rookie quarterback, rookie deal. Check every box you want in managing a team. The Eagles did it. They still couldn't get it done because Pat Mahomes is special. So to me, if you have a chance to potentially get a special guy, despite how good Goff has been, and he's impressed me, I didn't think he'd be this good. He's been spectacular. Why wouldn't you do it? Right. And I understand they have other needs on the roster and other potential areas that could go. And I get it. And there could be good football reasons for it. That makes sense. Sure. I understand. But you cannot win the championship in the NFL, in today's modern NFL, without being special at quarterback. And I think that's what we're starting to see. And that's why I really think the Lions are seriously considering whether they view Richardson as that guy or not, or Levis as that guy or not. That's the question they have to answer. But I think they actually are seriously considering getting one of these guys. Because remember, Goff only has 2 years left on his deal. Right. So after this next season, if they were to cut Goff after 2023, they would open up and save $27 million in cap space. So there's some business moves potentially coming around the corner for the Lions as well at the quarterback position. So to me, it just seems a little bit like the stars were aligning. Maybe, just maybe, that the Lions could be looking at quarterback in the first round this year.